All right, so you're trying to figure out what kind of multimeter you should buy. Maybe you're an apprentice, you've never had one before, or you see all the journeymen around you and your master, and they've all got these different kinds of meters. You go online, you go to Home Depot, and you're like, Jesus, there's so many different kinds of multimeters. What do I buy? This video is for you. All right, so electricians, we perform similar functions on most of the jobs that we do, right? We need multimeters to do certain things. And then largely, a lot of meters have stuff that we will never use. We just don't need to have in multimeters. And how something detects current, what levels it can detect, how high of the voltage readings can you take because of the rating of the meter. Like, a lot of these things actually really matter. So I'm gonna break into a lot of the ratings and kind of dial in what you need in the field and what you don't. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, there's three different styles that I have here. The first one is what we call a DMM, digital multimeter. And it looks like this. A lot of times they have some kind of a thing where you can set them on a desktop. They're kind of meant to be used hands-free. There's a whole bunch of different models and styles that look like this. Some of them are bigger, some of them have more functionality. Some of them are for doing high resistance testing versus normal resistance testing. But in general, a DMM is something that is meant to be hands-free. So you can either put it on a bench. I like this one because it has a magnet on it. So a lot of times in commercial, we're dealing with, you know, metal environments. But I can sit here and change settings on it. I can take a reading. I'm completely hands-free, just looking at it. So I like this style. Now, the only downside with using a DMM is that this has a 10 amp fuse in it. So if I wanted to test current, how much current is flowing through this wire, it says it's a 40 amp breaker, but like I want to see, is there like 50 amps flowing through it or something like that? There's no way to use this to test it while keeping the circuit intact. You actually have to take the conductor out, you have to break the circuit and allow one side to go to the conductor and the other side to go to the other thing. So you're basically allowing current to flow through the meter into the load. You have to break the circuit. So what I don't like about it is, like, look at these breakers. I got 40 amps, we got 20 amps, there's a 50 amp one down here. If I've got a 10 amp fuse, I can't use this meter to test any of these things. So largely, most electricians don't use multimeters like this. And the other reason is we don't want to have to take the circuit condition apart to do our testing. A lot of times, if we're trying to troubleshoot, we want to know how much current is flowing through a conductor without even having to disconnect it. We want the load to keep running. We don't want to change the state of the circuit. So DMMs are great, and you will see like a lot of electronics people or engineers where they're dealing with really small, tight tolerances, tight values on things where you have, like, you know, milliohms worth of resistance, or you've got milliamps where you're trying to test like very, very small sensitive things. That's kind of what the best use case for these types, these digital multimeters, are. So the current thing is a really big reason why maybe your first multimeter is not one of these. This might be something that you get down the line once you have a little bit more training. Because the other thing is you have to understand which ports the leads go in. And if you have the leads in the wrong port, a lot of the functionality won't work. Or if you're testing something, you don't realize how much current's going through it. You're trying to use the meter to detect how much current's going through, and you exceed that 10 amps of that fuse, you're going to blow the fuse inside of it. So these can just be a little bit finicky, and I think they need an electrician that knows a little bit about how multimeters work to be using these. So for your very first meter, I don't think that this is the play. What I do love about it, though, is it fits in your pocket. I would always recommend that you at least put some amount of judgment on your tools for how convenient they are for you to use. This is the size of a phone, right? You can just put this thing in your back pocket. The magnetic thing is like so nice to have. So nice. Every panel you're gonna put in is made of metal, so you can just set it on there, park it, and use the meter. So by no means am I saying this is not a great meter. This is a fantastic meter. I'm just saying for your first multimeter, there's certain things that I think you need to focus on a little bit more. So what I would recommend is that you move to something like this. Now this looks like a multimeter, and you could still call it a multimeter. There's multiple different functions on here. There's voltage, there's current, and continuity, resistance. It'll even do frequency. But it's metering multiple things. It's okay to call it a multimeter, but this is actually called a tester, not a multimeter. And I know that because it actually says T6-1000 Pro True RMS Electrical Tester. But what I love about this thing is the leads clip into the tool. They stay out of your way. And there's not like an obscene amount of lead length on here. So this is all you have to worry about. And this thing perfectly just goes right on there. And I can fit this in my back pocket and carry this around all day long. And I do, and I have for decades. I've used this, this model and its predecessor, the T5. There was a T5-600. It's so durable. I've dropped it off ladders. Don't do this, by the way. I was an idiot when I was younger and I didn't take care of my stuff, but it lasted just so many years and it lasted abuse and I loved it. So when the T6 came out, of course, I got a T6, but I love that I can put this in my back pocket. I love that it has a clamp, so I don't have to try to like change leads and have a 10 amp fuse max. I can actually use this to detect amperage, and all I have to do is just slip this on here and it gives me what the current is. But look how easy that is. There's no disconnecting wires or anything. This inside of here, this detects a rapidly changing, expanding and collapsing magnetic field. And as current goes back and forth in an AC system, it vibrates back and forth, right? So as it does that, this field around it, the conductor expands and collapses, and this little ring inside of here can detect that. So I love these, right? They have everything you need. They don't have anything you don't need. They've got voltage. It automatically detects AC and DC. There's no leads, there's no settings, nothing. You can't screw it up. With current, you just flip it to that. It does everything for you. There's nothing you have to change or mess up or do, get wrong. And then there's resistance, which most electricians are not going to use resistance very much unless you're trying to do a calculation for like how much VA, how much wattage something is, or you have like, a heating element in front of you and you're trying to replace it, make sure you get the same one, but you can't find a rating on it. So you need to test the resistance of that element. There's times where you're going to use resistance. If you're in industrial or you're dealing with like electronic components and things, you might use resistance a lot more, honestly. But most of us are using the continuity setting. That's the same setting as resistance. So I can detect whether or not I have a complete loop. So to test this on our continuity setting, continuity tells me I've got a battery inside here. I'm going to use the power of that battery to send a signal out of one of these leads, and I'm going to detect whether or not I'm getting a signal all the way back. So if I do this, I'm creating a loop, right? Boom. I know, okay, the wire that's leaving is the same as the wire that's coming in. They're touching each other. I'm not going to break down how incredibly damn useful that is on every job from here on out. Remodels, you got a whole bunch of different conductors and you forgot to label them and you're like, oh, well, let me just break out continuity and I'll put some pairs together. And like, I don't want to inundate you with something you're not going to understand, but continuity is something that we use the living crazy crap out of. So it's super helpful. This thing has some other cool functionality to it, which I like even more. There is this field sense setting right here. So you can see there's this red V with a little U underneath it. That same symbol is up here by the jaw. So that lets you know on this setting, it's not just current that you're detecting. There is current, but you can also get frequency readings or you can get voltage, like non-contact voltage readings. So you don't even have to use the leads necessarily. So to show you that, if we want to use that jaw for frequency, we just have to flip this button right here. It says VAC. That's telling you that jaw is going to give you a voltage reading. But if you hit that little button, it gives you hertz. So now you can detect frequency. So if I go over here and detect one of these, it shows you, okay, we have a 60 hertz system. So something you might deal with generators, right? Or you might deal with like variable frequency drives where you're altering frequency and you need to take frequency readings with your multimeter. And then if you don't want it to be on frequency anymore, you go back to voltage and now all of a sudden you've got voltage readings that it'll read. So I just think that that's super handy. This thing's backlit too. Sometimes like it's kind of hard to see the screen. So if you push the backlit thing on, you can actually see that it glows. So there's just cool stuff like that. I feel like this is like the every meter that every electrician needs to have for the rest of their career. And it's super reliable. It'll last you probably your whole career. Now, the next one is also fantastic. This is a clamp-on ammeter. Still a multimeter, still a tester, but the jaw, the clamp-on jaw is the big feature with this meter. So when I was saying, but on this, the T6-1000, I can stick these on here and I can actually get current readings or frequency or something like that. You'll notice that the jaw is only a certain size though, so I can only deal with conductors that are certain sizes. So if I get really large conductors, which Unfortunately, you know, like these are really small, but some of the panels that you guys are going to install, you've got like huge conductors that are going to be feeding in. So this would not be able to take a current reading on that. So you need something a little bit bigger. And that's why having one of these also is really key, because I can do any size conductor that I want to in here. Open up this clamp. There's two little lines on here, so you're supposed to line up. Well, let me find one that actually has some kind of current draw. I don't think anything does in here. 0.5 amps. I don't know what circuit this is, but most of this panel, there's really like nothing going on. I'm in an empty building. There's no machinery or anything like that. So there's probably like my computer on that circuit. So it's not much. But the clamp-on ammeter is really huge, especially too if you have parallel conductors. Sometimes conductors will be so big that we will choose to run two smaller conductors together rather than one large one. Because two small conductors that have the same exact area as one large conductor can carry the same amount of current. So it's just easier to install sometimes if we cut the conductor in half and run two smaller ones. It's just easier to bend them all and everything like that. So if you had two parallel conductors, you can actually fit them inside of here. And they go even crazier yet. So I've got this clamp over here that is part of the iFlex system. So you'll see this thing says iFlex, and this tool over here says iFlex. And you'll notice there's like this really weird prong layout on the bottom. There's like these three prongs. Well, if I pull both of these out, I can stick this in here and boom, now instead of using this jaw, I can use this jaw. Sometimes there are massive conductors. Sometimes they're paralleled massive conductors. So you need to be able to get around something really huge. So this thing, you just take this out. Let me hook this guy on something just to get it out of my hands. And you could wrap around like several of these conductors if you needed to. Now, you wouldn't do it for three different conductors, like a black and a red and a blue. You're not going to get a good reading on that. But if like all three of these were black and they were on one phase, you could use something like that. And I like that it completely disconnects, right? I didn't have to take the conductors out to be able to do that. So they do make stuff like that. That's, you know, an adapter for these meters. And it just makes it super handy when you deal with large stuff. This one has a little bit more functionality. So there is a voltage that you have to make sure that you're on the AC setting. You don't really have to mess with changing any of your leads, which is nice, but you do have to make sure that you're on like the AC setting or the DC setting. So there's voltage AC, voltage DC, it'll detect in the millivolt range. There's continuity and resistance that are together. There's also capacitance that'll detect. There's AC current, and it also does hertz. There is DC current, and then that iFlex setting for, you know, detecting frequency and current. You can do an inrush test. So when you have like motors, if you get into commercial or industrial, or even if you do like pool equipment, you're dealing with motors, you can actually take an inrush reading to figure out how much inrush current is happening immediately when a motor starts up. Because when a motor starts up, it usually like draws like 6 times the amount of current. And then once it's gotten up to speed, that current goes down to like whatever the nameplate current is, and that's the current it's going to continuously draw. Now, the next thing that you should really pay attention to is the category rating. So you'll see on every multimeter, either like on the jaw, on the leads, where the leads plug in, it'll say Cat 3 or Cat 4. A lot of them have dual ratings where they have 2 different voltages. Like this says Cat 3, 600 volts, and Cat 4, 300 volts. So the category rating is where you're using the meter. And what you can kind of think in layman terms is category 4 is talking about like outside where you have the service. Service entrance conductors coming into a meter, you've got outside work. And category 3 is inside work. So both of them are like 600 volt ratings for the most part. It's not just that it's a 600 volt rating, it's that it's meant to be used in these certain environments. So category 4, just think outside service and back, and think category 3 inside. Category 3 is kind of the minimum for anything that we should be working with out in the field. But if you are working outside, the category 4 is even better. So honestly, like this thing that I keep saying is my favorite meter. This has a different category rating. So the category 3, it can do category 3 up to 1,000 volts. And this will do category 4 up to 600 volts. And when we're dealing with houses, outside or inside doesn't really matter. We're dealing on 240 volt systems. So these category ratings aren't about what the amount of voltage that a meter can detect. It's what it can handle. So a lot of times you'll have something called a transient voltage. Transient just means something kind of unexpected, like a spike, like an instantaneous kind of surge that happens. So if you were to sit here trying to read voltage, and all of a sudden the utility company reconnects a line that they were working on, and it surges into this meter, a meter can blow, right? It's an over voltage. It's like way too much voltage that this thing wasn't meant to handle. But this specifically has 1,000 volt if you're in a category 3 environment. So if that surge happens and you're indoors, it's going to handle that surge up to 1,000 volts. It's the surge voltage that it handles. It's not the building voltage. So you're sitting here on, this is 208, but you're sitting here on a 208 system, and all of a sudden there's a transient surge, and it surges up to 400 volts, like instantaneously, very, very quick transient voltage. It will handle that. The meter is designed to handle that. And then if you're outside, it says if you're in a category 4 environment, outdoors, it can handle surges that are up to 600 volts. So just making sure that if you were to, for some reason, like you've got 4 or 5 different multimeters or 300 like I have, you can take these leads off, right? And like store them somewhere, and say you grabbed a set of leads and you're just like, leads, meter, I need, both, they both go together. Make sure that they're rated the same. Each one of these is gonna have a category rating on it too. This says category 2 for 1,000 volts, category 3 for 1,000 volts, and category 4 for 600 volts. So I need to make sure that the meter that I'm using matches the leads that I'm using, and that whatever the ratings, the CAT ratings are, that I'm using it to those environmental ratings. So make sure that you follow the category ratings. And then the last piece of advice that I have, whatever meters that you choose, take care of them. I have made the stupid mistake of leaving these things sitting in the back of my truck, and then somebody steals them out of the back of my truck. And some of them are expensive. Like some meters that you can spend thousands of dollars on one multimeter, or, you can spend 40, 50 bucks, 100 bucks, something like that. But these things are a lifeline. They're meant to test the situation and see what's wrong, but they're also meant to test to make sure it's safe for you to stick your hands in something. So if this thing says there's no energized equipment and it's okay for you to put your hands in there and start working on it, you need to be able to trust with your life that it is accurate. And if you're dropping it off the top of ladders, you're leaving it in the rain for everything to get corroded on the inside. I actually have one right here. I'm an idiot. This was a great meter. This is the Fluke 373. The back side of this, I got rust inside of here because I just left it out and let moisture get inside of it. And so I had a broken pin in here and everything wasn't working. I'm like, what the heck's going on? My leads, is there something messed up? And the only way I found out that it was messed up is if I took this plate off, and this thing was corroded. And I'm like, oh, whoa, that's all rusted out. And so I just tried to slightly clean it off, and then poof, the pin broke off. So the whole meter, I'll never be able to use this again. It's just broken. It's just a battery terminal. But it's because I didn't take care of it. And dropping things, bending them, crushing your conductors. I always recommend people keep your multimeters in a bag, keep them stored in a dry place, under your seats, pretty cool. Just take care of this stuff. Again, your life depends on it. The thing that we interface with, one of the most dangerous forces on the planet that will and can kill you and has killed a lot of people, are these. These are our lifeline. These are the buffer that we have between an electrical system and our life and our heart and our brain firing. So take care of these things, respect them, and they will treat you right. Anyways, hope you guys learned something. Love you, crazy people. I'll see you in the next one.